there's going to be changes to the coaching staff, perhaps the entire coaching staff cleaned out. Could you expound on that?
I just don't see how they can't. Like I'm shocked that Pat Schumer still has his job. I don't see anybody else giving him another opportunity in college or the NFL. I'm stunned that he still has a job, especially with how quick Coach Prime in year one was to get rid of Coach Lewis at San Diego State now. And I know Coach Lewis wanted to be a head coach,
San Diego
but
State,
he came in from a head coaching position at Kent State to take the OC job and only lasted half a year. And that's because he's not a yes man, period. So I look, I've got some friends on that staff. I've also got guys that, they don't talk to anybody, and it's very smug and it's very like standoffish, and it's like that with the fans and the recruits. And I think that there's a disconnect between just because you're a great football player and you got a gold jacket or whatever, you're just a person. You're just a coach there now. You have to be, open to communication and recruiting and things of that nature. So I don't see how we can look at the staff and say that they're helping Coach Prime. And I don't think Coach Prime is helping them necessarily. I think that when you put yourself in a situation where you're surrounded by your friends, when it gets hard, are you going to fire them? And I don't think that's going to happen. I think they believe in the room that they can just sit there and tell the college kids in that room that are struggling right now what to do instead of showing them how to do it. And, when you've got Falk and Sapp and Pecco and all these ex-pros and those guys, they figured out how to do their jobs at a high level. You don't really have to coach Warren Sapp once he's figured it out, or Pecco or Marshall Falk. You just have to get out of their way. Well, in college, you got to coach what you're preaching, and you have to get in the trench with them and teach them and show them that you care, because 99% of them are not going to the league. This is it. So, yeah, I think that the coaching staff needs to be extremely evaluated hard. And if they don't make a bunch of changes, then they don't want to get better, because this is not acceptable. The close wins or the close losses, mind you, the 27-20, the close loss at TCU, the close loss against BYU, if they're better coached and there's more discipline and detail and attention to it, they win those games, period. So I think it all comes back to your ability to simply articulate what you want to your players, but then you have to show them. Coach Sapp and Coach Pecco, if your three techniques and one techniques can't play the point and don't know why they're double teaming you and how they're climbing and what the little intricacies of the other team's run game is and how they're trying to stretch you or move you vertically, and you can't get down and show them how to do it day in and day out, rep in and rep out, and you just say, hey, three technique, do your job, play your key, make a play. Well, that's easy for Warren Sapp. It's not so easy for the guys they have up there that are trying to learn how to do it at a consistent level that is, high enough to appease the gold jackets that are in the coaching staff. So there's a massive disconnect. And then also, Jason, I'm going to say this, and this is probably not going to go over too well, but I don't really care anymore. I'm also questioning how many of these guys need the job. Because I've talked about this on my show countless times, and I preach this to everybody I work with down here, from the NFL players I work with to the high school kids that come in to sign up and start their journey. Are you a like football guy, or are you a need football guy? And I think some of the coaches up there and a ton of the players like football. They like coaching. They like playing for CU until they don't. Until it's hard or it's cold or it's, we don't want to be here today, or the bye week where everyone's just going to disperse and go fishing instead of really focus on Utah. And then there's need. And I don't see a lot of guys up there that need it, that need to win, to breathe. Like when you've accomplished literally everything and now you're being put under a microscope and people are saying what you've done in the past doesn't mean anything, it's about right now. I think that there's a large contingent of folks up there that are like, well, last year wasn't good enough. You guys have been terrible for 20 years, so you're not going to give us a break. We're still rebuilding. There's no rebuild after going 9-4 and winning a Heisman. You should be taking off, not rebuilding. So, yeah, man, I think that there's a big disconnect, and I don't understand why they're so reluctant to embrace what it means to be a Colorado Buffalo.
Because if you embrace what it means to be a Colorado Buffalo, if you connect with the history, then now there is a standard that's been set. Hey, we won a national championship here. Hey, we've won conference titles here. But if you reduce it down to the previous coach only won one game, now the standards are lower. You don't have to jump as high. And so that it's all connected. You don't want to connect with the history because the history sets a standard and sets a bar. It sets a target for you. Now, if you remove the history, disconnect from it, now you get to set the standard year by year. And my concern, if I was a Colorado fan, would be, man, we went all in on Deion. Will this administration, if Deion walks away or is fired, will this administration go all in on the next coach, and the finances and everything just keeps escalating in college football? And everybody went all in on Deion Sanders. Will they do the exact same thing for the next coach? Or will there be some hesitancy of like, man, we just got burned. We owe Deion all this money. Any concern that there could be irrevocable or really serious damage done in the aftermath?
Yeah, I mean, just judging off the past, and look, it was different because of, they didn't have salary caps, so you couldn't pay the players and whatnot. But CU's always had a funding problem. They've always had people don't really give Coach McCartney and Neuheisel and Coach Barnett their, the proper props of how they kept that place so competitive and rolling when the administration and the state really, for forever, you couldn't sign an assistant coach to more than a 1-year contract in Colorado, just because of the state legislature and how they mandated that. So they had to change that, and they got that changed. And I feel like they're committed to it, but they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Everything up there is controlled, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be, by the head football coach. So he essentially has the keys to the castle, and whatever he wants up there, he's going to get. If he wants to just not go recruit, and he wants to just kind of hang out and wait for people to come to him, no one's going to push him to go do it any differently. You brought up earlier that they may tell him that he has to restaff. I don't see that ever happening. I don't think Rick George and the administration above is going to do anything to piss Deion off. That's going to be, the community and the media are going to have to push that in order to get anything done. If Coach Prime were to walk away, selfishly, I hope if that were to happen, I hope that he would resign so they wouldn't have to pay him. And that's just, that's just the way it is.
Deion leaving without the money?
Well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I know that's one of the other. That's why I said it. So, if I were him and he just signed a 5-year, $60 million contract, I would make them fire me. But at the same time, knowing him and just the people that are on the staff, don't you guys want to fix this? Don't you want to stop being the laughing stock of everybody who said you couldn't do it? At what point is it going to be important enough to change so you can fix it? Because what we're doing right now is the definition of insanity, the same thing over and over again. You don't have Shador, you don't have Travis, Jimmy and Wester and all them boys are gone. You didn't pay Hood, you let Hillgreen go to Alabama. The transfer portal guys you brought in are turds. They can't play. You got 38 mercenaries on your team that don't give a damn about where they're playing. They just think they're special because Coach Prime brought them in. And, if they can't figure out a way to change this, what's going to change, Jason, is the market. Kids aren't going to want to come here anymore for this. The kids see through this faster than we do. The recruits that I've tried to push to them till I'm blue in the face, bro. Jackson Roper is the #1 player in the state of Colorado. He's a 4-star, 6'6", 310-pounder. His dad played at Utah State back in the day. Great student, has like 20 offers, Alabama and A&M and Ole Miss and Nebraska and Ohio State and Michigan. You know who didn't offer him? CU. They haven't offered him. They don't talk to him. And he's one of my guys. And I probably sent him information on him 150 times. How do we get up there in front of you? How do we make this happen? What do we need to do? Nothing. Crickets. So the community, the fan base, and the pressure there is that's what's gonna change things if it does ever change. But I don't know. I don't usually. When nepotism and narcissism is involved at this level, it's really, really hard to get anybody to change doing anything.
If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.